Welcome to a special edition of Crawford County Outdoors. I'm Duane Kohler, and we're at the Beck's house today. I'm joined by Gavin Beck.
Yeah.
Now we've talked before about deer hunting and so on, but I want to kind of go a little bit broader here today and talk about some small game hunting at a whole bunch of different perspectives. So you've had some chances to get out. Let me go way back. When you were just turning 12, we were all going to go out for the youth pheasant hunt day out, and your brother was there, and he had some of his friends there.
Yeah.
And your birthday just happened to hit at the wrong time that you couldn't go. So you were in the camera for us, right, that day. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I was filming for that day.
What was that? What was that like?
It was fun. I mean, it was a good experience, especially being that young. And I couldn't carry a gun, which wasn't as fun, but we'll go out another time.
So I've had the chance to go out with the Game Commission has youth pheasant, that day, and the Sportsman's Club now has picked up on that, and they have youth pheasant hunts every year, and so we took both Butch and Crash out this year for that, and that was a blast. So a little selfishly now, that's great work for the dogs. When you have a young dog, you want to get them out and get them work as much as you can.
Definitely, yeah.
But really, the bigger picture is young hunters out there definitely want to get them out there, get them to have a chance to be out there.
Yeah.
So now let me ask you this, and I'm curious about how you feel about this. So you had a great deer hunt this year, and you shot a deer, was 200 and some yards away, and you shot it?
Yeah, it was about 275 yards.
You pulled the trigger, got one shot.
Yep.
So the season's over with one pull of the trigger, right? So now my perspective, when you go small game hunting, you may have 20 times pulling that trigger.
Yeah, pulling the trigger.
So now, to me, for young, what do you think about that? I mean,
it's a little bit more difficult, especially when the object's a lot smaller that you're shooting at. Yeah, but yeah, this time I only shot him once when we went out the other day. Yeah.
So how'd that go? Tell the whole story. You had some success here on a small game hunt.
Yeah. So Landon and I decided to go up on a weekend to Erie to my cousin's house, and we were gonna go rabbit hunting, and we grabbed the guns and we went out into his field, and we were out there all day, and we couldn't find anything. No rabbits. There was tracks everywhere, but it was getting towards the end of the day, and we decided that we were going to go in. But there was just one little piece that we wanted to go through and try to see if we can get one more out. And we went, and not even just two steps into the little brush right there, a rabbit jumps out, and we followed him over, and we were looking through the bushes trying to see where he was, and we finally saw him, so I stuck the gun in there and I shot him. He just dropped, and we killed him right there.
So I've had a similar experience with small game. Is sometimes they see you from a mile away and they're running there, jumping there. Other times, like, they're going to hide from you, right?
Yeah.
So same with pheasants. It's like they've got three options: hide, run away, or fly away.
Yeah, fly.
The squirrels and the rabbits, they got two options. They can hide or they can run away, right? Yeah. So this guy decided to hide from you, and you beat him out on that deal.
Yeah, he ran from us the first time, and then he decided to go hide, and we found him and just ended him right there.
I know when I was getting started hunting many years ago, I don't think I got a deer for my first, 6-7 years maybe of going hunting, but I did get a couple rabbits and a couple squirrels and a couple pheasants. When I got to pheasants, like, man, that was fun, So it's like
fun.
I want to get back after that. So that one's kind of got into me. And then the deer hunting, as I've gotten older, and it's like I get that. That's that's a lot of fun. But back to what we talked about before, it's like, man, all season long, and you pull the trigger one time, and once you get out of that junior stage, you got to wait for only those big bucks to come in. You may not even get a chance all year long,
Yeah,
you get your doe tag, and your chances go up when you get a doe tag. But so I'm a big fan of let's get our. I keep seeing stats all the time about the number of hunters just dwindling, and I'm thinking if we get people involved in lots of angles of this, I don't know, what do you think? If you get more angles than just that deer hunt, maybe we'll get some, down the road we'll keep that hunting excitement alive in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I think small game's fun to go out, especially pheasants. Pheasants fun to go out. I still like deer hunting because
me too.
It's just a big reward once you get one after waiting that long, but small games definitely is really fun. Yeah,
we'll have to show some footage from our youth hunts this year. Now you guys have Lulu, and Lulu's a great a great dog, and we've got Crash and Butch at my house, and we had the kids. I took the dogs out separately with the kids, with Crash out first, and his expertise is in finding them, but he works really close. He never leaves more than about 25, 30, 40 yards away ever. Like even if the bird's further away, he doesn't leave you to go chase the bird.
That's perfect.
Now the opposite with Butch, he's so it's like there's two really superior lines in Springer Spaniels, and one's the close working hunting dog, and that's Crash.
Yeah.
And Butch and of course Crash is Butch's dad. But from the mother's line was from the field trial line of Springer Spaniels, and they're more wider working or whatever. And Butch definitely has it in him. So he covers a lot of ground very fast, but he's getting better. He does this check with me thing. He's looking back to see where I am. So that,
you want me to go over there?
Well, so Crash is like 20, 30 yards away. Butch is like 50 yards away. But he doesn't get he's doing better. He's sticking close. So sometimes you gotta if you see him getting excited, you sometimes you gotta move yourself over there because it's like that bird's coming up pretty quick. And one thing that's interesting with these guys too is they do a I don't know how they ever learned this, but they'll flush the bird at me, and it's like,
perfect.
It's like when the bird starts to run directly away from you, and then it'll flush away. That happens sometimes, but it's like the dog figured out. I don't know how you would ever teach that. They just seem that must be built into them somehow, but they flush it at them. So the kids had a great time, anyways, with the pheasant hunt. Yeah. So I'm hoping that kind of sticks with them, that they'll want to keep doing that.
Yeah.
And Pennsylvania's got, whatever it is, 800,000 hunters or whatever, and all of them go the first day of buck season, and then that kind of dwindles down to the end of the season, and then there's not too many people. I'm like, let's go, So my thing this time was, there's squirrels all over the place in the place where I go deer hunting, and it's like, now do I want the deer eating the acorns, or do I want the squirrels eating the acorns? So to me, it's like, maybe if I clear out some of those squirrels, maybe that'll keep the deer coming around a little bit better. So I'll have a better crack at them. That's one thing. The second thing is the darn things I've gotten into some of my equipment before, and it's cost me repair bills for the squirrels. So
it's annoying.
So there's two sides of that. There's one. It's like I'm all about hunting, and it's like, okay, the deer season's over, the pheasant season's over, and it's still small game season. So by the way, I looked up on the Game Commission website before I started just to make sure. But you can use your air rifle for small game. If you're shooting a groundhog, it has to be a .22 caliber air rifle. But if you're going to shoot rabbits or squirrels, you can use the .177 or the .22, either one. And I have the one that breaks open and it has like a nitrogen piston, and I think it's 1,200 feet a second, something like that.
Jeez.
It really has a real powerful hit. And I use the flat nose pellets rather than the pointy ones, because the pointy ones seem to want to deflect a lot,
Yeah.
And then it's like when you do shoot, if you missed it or if it hit a branch or on the way towards the squirrel or whatever, they don't know what that noise was, and they don't if you shoot your shotgun, then they know where you were. They definitely heard you, and they're gone. They're gone for good. So, and it's like I have discovered a couple times here that's like sometimes it takes me two or three shots to get those squirrels. And there's the gray squirrels, and their bodies may be like this big or whatever. And then there's those red squirrels. And they're like really small. Yeah. And so I was actually kind of happy, and your mom's working on a recipe for us, so I'm excited about that. We're gonna get that after a bit. But if you can hit those little red squirrels, that takes some practice to get at those ones. So I was happy initially, maybe not necessarily for sampling them, but I'm looking forward to that. Because your mom, she does a beautiful job with this stuff, and I look forward to that every time. Every time she's working on something for us here. But it's like, get those little turkeys out of here. Yeah. The thing that's kind of like, I don't know how a critter can like run up a tree and turn around and run down the tree, and then they see you or whatever, and then they're flying from tree to tree to tree,
back and forth,
on just these little teeny branches that are like smaller than your finger, and it's like they just, even if they fall, then they just grab a different branch and keep going.
It's crazy.
They're amazing. So I was out with the camera trying to get some footage of that, so as we're talking about it, so that folks could see that, and it was almost impossible to get the camera on them because the darn thing's so fast.
Yeah.
They're like little acrombats.
Jumping everywhere.
I was tickled. I was able to get 6 of them. So, hopefully that'll keep my. So I got both at the place where I go deer hunting. I got a couple there, and then I got a couple right in the little patch of woods or near my house where the truck gets parked and where they got into some of my equipment in the past before they cost me repair bills. So hopefully we're going to make some progress in both areas. Yeah. One thing too, that there's just a whole bunch of acorns dropping in this area, in the area where I go deer hunting. So I'm like, so do I want the squirrels eating the acorns, or do I want the deer coming around? So I definitely want the deer coming around. Yeah. So if there's no squirrels coming after acorns, that wouldn't bother me too much, So, and if they are, so maybe we can get your mom to cook up another recipe for us or something. I don't know. So I'm kind of looking forward to seeing what she came up with on that one. So one more time, what do you think? Small game hunting, big game hunting, I mean, to me it's like, let's try them all,
Yeah, I think you could it's definitely worth a try to go out and do all of them. To me, I like deer hunting more because I've been exposed to that more, but small game's definitely something to try.
Okay, now stay tuned. Chef Lisa's working on a recipe for us, so we'll be back with that in a minute. Joining us now, Chef Lisa Beck. So Lisa, now this is going to seem a little bit weird, but this has been the year of the rodent. We had the rabbit hunt. Thanks, Dan Nelson, for helping us pull that together here.
That's right.
You know, earlier. Well, I guess about a year ago now. Then we had, now you and I, this one I don't think anybody ever heard of this story, but you and I talked when we had our woodchuck hunt over the summer.
That's right.
And we went back and forth, and it's like, should we bother trying to cook that? And tell that story for a sec, because there were some much interesting pieces of that one. There were all kinds of glands and stuff that we had to pull off the thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of fat glands on woodchucks that make them very difficult to clean and kind of grossed me out when I thought about eating them. So I recommended to Duane that we not do that this year.
So we didn't do a recipe for the woodchuck. I think that was a good thing.
Yeah.
The woodchuck became a fertilizer in my
That's
in my
probably a
backyard,
better place
so.
for it with all the fat glands and all. But isn't it the year of the rat? The Chinese year of the rat?
Yeah, okay.
So there's a rodent
there we
right
go. There we go.
I mean,
okay. Well, so now we're not talking rats. Now we're
No.
talking squirrels here.
Squirrels.
So,
there's lots of them out there.
and they're kind of a nuisance, but they're kind of fun too because they're a real challenge. They're a real challenge for us hunters out there.
Right,
So,
right.
So tell us about the recipe that you came up with.
Well, when Duane said to me, we're going to do squirrel, what do you think of that? I said, buttermilk deep fried. Why not? Like if you're gonna cook a squirrel, why not deep fry it just like you would chicken? Everybody always says when you eat something, wild, they're like, oh, it's like chicken. Well, why not, right? Now this is a new recipe. I can't say that I've tried it, but I have to say I'm pretty impressed with the way it smells and the way it looks. So I have a feeling we're gonna like this, and I have a feeling that you could do this with pheasant, chicken, any of those other things. So it's pretty much ready to go. I did have to start this in advance because it's one of those things that you let sit overnight and you let it soak. Now how many squirrels did you end up getting?
6.
6, and a couple of them are really little.
There were a couple of real small ones. Those fox squirrels are very small.
They are. And
so that means like my expert shooting skills.
That's right.
Yeah,
So he's pretty good. So what we did is I had Terry cut them up for me, and then I soaked them. And what I soaked them in was a couple cups of buttermilk.
Okay.
And then I got my little cheat sheet here. I added, it was 2 cups of buttermilk. I sliced up a medium onion, and it's just kind of sitting in there soaking. I chopped up 3 garlic cloves, and I added that to it. I did a teaspoon of each oregano, thyme. I did tarragon, paprika, and cayenne powder. And it's just been sitting there overnight.
Okay.
So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drain that. Okay. And then we're going to put them in some oil, hot oil. But before we put them in the oil, we're going to have to get them in the bag and coat them with flour.
Shake them around in the bag,
like the shake and bake.
Shake and bake.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. And what's going to go in here is I have about 2 cups of flour, a teaspoon each of this is onion powder and garlic powder, and then I have 2 teaspoons of cayenne powder. Pepper. So we're going to do that. So I'm going to drain it first, and I have a colander in the sink. So we'll just take that lid off. If you want to see what we have in there, look, it smells fantastic.
So just soaked overnight?
Just soaked overnight. Yeah, it's great. You don't rinse it. So we're going to take some pieces, and we're not going to put them all in here, Duane, because we don't want to overwhelm. Okay. We want them to cook. So we're going to put our 2 cups of flour in the bag, our cayenne, and our onion powder and garlic powder.
So just kind of blend that around a little bit.
Just blend that around.
Okay.
And then I have some tongs here. If you want to take a few pieces out, we'll get them in the bag, and we'll do some little shaking around there.
Okay. One thing about these squirrels, it's going to be kind of fun to eat because I think I told Terry this story. years ago, they got into my four-wheeler, and I ended up with an $800 bill, a repair bill, from them getting in and building the nest in the transmission of my four-wheeler.
Those darn squirrels.
Now they got into my truck, and I had to get the air cleaner for them. Is that enough for the first?
Yeah, that's good.
For the first go around.
You know, probably could put one more in there. I think we got enough stuff.
So I had to get the air filter changed, and of course there was quite a bill attached to all the pieces going along with that. And the squirrels had like taken over the air filter in the truck and built a little nest in there, and it had acorns and everything else in there. So
they can damage. They can definitely do some damage.
So that's one thing about rodent hunting. Is it maybe everybody's favorite thing to eat? I don't know. We'll find out.
We're going to find out. Can I have those tongs again,
Sure.
Duane?
But
Don't want to contaminate any other ones.
even kind of like the groundhog hunt, it's like, okay, yeah, we didn't eat the thing, but we certainly made the farm owner happy because they were a pest there. They were interfering with his crop growing, and the squirrels, in this case, interfering with my truck.
Yeah.
And before that, interfering with my four-wheeler, which
became costly. I think there's another one hidden in there.
I think I put 5 pieces in.
Yep, you did. I'm making a little bit of a mess, but you know, that's what happens when you use left-hand utensils.
Oh. I probably put them in there right-handedly, didn't I?
You might have.
Okay.
So what we're going to do is 10 minutes on each side. So they're going to cook up. We're going to let them 10 minutes, go 10 minutes, and we're going to flip them over. And then what I have over here is a nice little tray that has this metal rack on the top, and I put paper towel below it.
Okay.
So as soon as we do get them out, we'll salt and pepper them right away.
Okay.
And then they'll be ready to go.
So once they come out, then they're kind of steamy, and they'll like kind of grab that salt and pepper flavor in addition to the to the buttermilk and the flour
all
and
the other good spices that are in there. Yeah, yeah. So this is gonna be a good one.
So my argument to people is it's like, okay, yes, they're a nuisance, and yes, there's a way to harvest them.
Right.
And let's make something positive out of that. So to me, I only like to go hunting for stuff that can be food.
Right.
It was fun shooting those woodchucks. That was fun.
Right.
So that's the one exception.
And we don't want to really eat those.
And we know. But that's the one exception to the rule. But we were actually doing a public service by
Right,
that.
right.
So this was a combination of maybe a meal and a public service.
We can definitely say that for
Those
sure.
little suckers, they're like acrobats. They like, I don't know how. It's like they almost have wings. They can fly from tree to tree.
They
and
can.
You look at the branches, and the branches are like the size of your fingertip. You know, they're just teeny, little skinny
and they're
little
able
branches.
to grab right onto them.
And they run up the bank, and or the bark, and they run down the bark, and then they're flying. They see me, and then they're flying from tree to tree.
They see you coming, and they run.
One thing was interesting too is in deer season, they were just all over the place, and it's like, And I'm thinking, so now of course this is my personal bias. It's like, now do I want the deer to come and get those acorns, or do I want those squirrels to get those acorns? I want to get the squirrels out of here so I can get the deer coming in, because that's what I really want.
That's right. And in the end, if you can't get the deer, we can make buttermilk fried squirrel. Just saying.
That's a good backup plan.
It is.
A good
It's plan B, but we can do it if we need to.
So I'm hoping this is going to help next year for more deer to come around, because there'll be less.
Yeah.
There'll be less acorn removal from the little pests.
I would think so. Those are cooking up really well. I have a feeling, like I said, I think this is really going to be a good recipe, and I believe I'm probably going to save it and use it for not just squirrel, but probably pheasant and chicken as well, because there's a lot of really good things in this. So.
Now, guys, at your house here, now they do some small game hunting.
A little bit. I got a rabbit in the freezer from a couple weeks ago.
All right.
They do.
That rabbit recipe from last year, that was excellent. I really, that old story that you mentioned, it's like, oh, it tastes like, it really did taste like chicken.
And that's usually what, people are afraid to try things like this. They usually taste like chicken. I read an article actually recently that said, and actually it's where this recipe came from. The author said that he feels that squirrel's more buttery than some of those other wild game.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. So I thought, well, we're going to think about that when we try this today and see if we agree. I'm not one that I don't have squirrel unless I'm cooking it on the show. It's not one that they're out there getting. Rabbit, yes. So, we'll see today. We'll put that into, we'll see if that's the case for us.
Way back in the day when I was still a student, which is a very long time ago.
A few years ago.
I picked up on hunting early on, and did not get a deer until several years later than that. My first gun that I purchased was a shotgun, but I did bring home a couple squirrels, did bring home a couple rabbits, and so I wasn't the greatest cook in the world, but it's like, hey, that actually was food, you know.
Right.
I remember that first pheasant that I brought home, and it's like a couple rabbits, a couple squirrels, and a pheasant. It's like, I can actually eat this stuff.
You can eat it. You can survive on it, and I mean, think about it. That's what our forefathers did. So, win in the woods. Like winning Rome, but I'm
like remembering the Game of Thrones on HBO, and some of those nights, traveling, they would survive on.
Well, that's what you have to do.
On rabbits
do what you have to do.
Yeah.
So.
At this point, I'm now motivated towards keep those darn things out from underneath the hood of my truck, keep them from eating the acorns, to keep the deer coming around, because I want those deer coming around. By the way, too, another thing I noticed is there's some, in this one spot where I go, there are a bunch of oak trees, but there's a couple of hickory trees. And the hickory, they're like on a whole different schedule.
Right.
So I think that's why I'm seeing them around now.
That's probably the reason.
Because it's like the acorns, they've been done for a good, probably 2 months or something like that.
Right.
But the hickory nuts, they don't even start dropping until it's like the acorns are already down. Then the hickory nuts
It's a different time of the year.
And I think the squirrels like the hickory nuts, so that's why they're probably all over the place and hiding them in addition to acorns in my truck air cleaner.
I think that's what they want.
So, anyways, either I don't care about the hickory nuts, because I don't think the deer care that much for the hickory nuts. I don't know if they do or not, but they certainly like the acorns.
Right.
Because when it's acorn season, I see them a lot in that area.
They're there, yeah.
So if we can reduce the number of squirrels, I think that's going to help with the deer hunting in future years.
I think we have a couple more minutes before we get to flip.
Okay. It's interesting. That's looking like almost like fried chicken wings or something like that.
Like I said, I have a feeling we're going to like this, and I have a feeling we're going to think it's either buttery, like the author of this recipe said, or it's going to taste like chicken.
By the way, how did Terry cut them up, by the way? Was it kind of like quartering them?
That's exactly what he did.
Okay.
Yeah, he quartered them. Yeah.
So there's, 4 kinds of squirrels in Pennsylvania? No, I haven't seen a black squirrel for a long time.
We have one right out back.
I hear people talk about them because they're very...
They're very rare.
They're very stand out whenever you see one.
Well, because you see them in the winter and they stand right out against the snow.
The ones that seem to be the most prominent are the gray squirrels, and they're the larger ones of the bunch. These little red ones, I don't know if they're called the fox squirrels or red squirrels, but they're smaller.
Right.
And man, those things are fast. It's like try shooting one of those things. Aim it at one of them, and wow, that looks great. Kind of crispy there, and
yeah. Like I said, we're probably going to think this is a keeper. I really think so. They're cooking up really nicely. Just want to make sure we don't start smoking. I don't mind it cooking up like it is. Boy, I really made a mess.
That's good. What fun is it if you don't?
That's right.
If you don't make a mess whenever you're making.
Well, I'll tell you, Terry will tell you I'm a messy
squirrel.
I'm a messy cook, and I guess I get really messy when I'm making squirrel. Yeah, that looks really good. I'm not sure people would realize this is, not that I would ever do that to anybody, because I don't ever do that. Surprise them and say, oh, guess what? You just ate squirrel. That's not cool. We don't do that in this house. We tell everybody what it is. But I'm not sure you would know the difference. Just look at that.
And the same thing whenever we have family coming over, and we make sure that they know this is venison or this is pheasant or whatever.
Yeah, that's cool. I mean,
and they're generally, they know that that's a big thing in our house, and so they're kind of expecting that. So we don't want to trick them or whatever.
No, we're not about tricking anybody, and that's why I always do tell people too. Any of the recipes that we make, you can use other meat. You can use beef for a lot of those recipes. You can use chicken for a lot of these recipes. Just adapt it to whatever you want. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. It's very simple to do. I adapt regular recipes to wild game, so you can do vice versa.
Maybe other than the shape is just a tiny bit different, but that literally looks like chicken wings. I mean, it really does. Now, Lisa, this has become like my favorite part of the show. Mm-hmm. I bet Gavin's too.
Yeah.
I would think so.
Everybody, I was going with a bunch of guys the other day, and we were all together. Everybody took their deer, and we were grinding all at once because he got this giant grinder, and and it's like everybody. This is like a wrap. I was the labeler.
Okay, you're in it like a what do you call that?
Yeah. Yeah.
You know.
like an assembly line
Assembly
almost.
line. I was going to say concession stand, but you know, that's mother of.
So you want to guess what they all wanted to talk about?
What?
Your recipes. They all see the show, and that's what they wanted to talk about was your recipes the whole time. So it's like, oh yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, they're not all mine. You know, everybody needs to know that. Your wife gives me a lot of really good recipes. I do some research on recipes, and some of them, are some family favorites. I get them from my mother-in-law. They're not all mine. I have to give credit where credit's due here. So, but it's taste testing time.
Okay.
And I would say this looks like chicken.
It does look like chicken.
So let's see what it tastes like. Oh my goodness.
I may actually have to shoot some more squirrels.
That's really good.
That's pretty good.
That's chicken. Not really.
It does taste like chicken wing.
That recipe is this is a good recipe.
It's good.
It is. I like that a lot.
So what do you think, Gavin? Is it worth going and getting some of these guys?
Definitely, yeah.
And you could do this with rabbit. Ooh, there's a little cayenne pepper in there.
Ah.
You could do this with chicken. That is a really good recipe, ladies and gentlemen. I recommend it.
So what's it called? Buttermilk?
It's buttermilk fried squirrel. You know, you got your buttermilk, you've got your cayenne, your tarragon, oregano, onion, garlic. Let it sit overnight.
How about if we called it buttermilk shake and bake fried squirrel?
I like that.
Does that get too complicated?
No, I don't think so. I think it's good though.
Well, Gavin, thanks for talking about the small game. Glad you had some success with small game hunting this year. Thank you, Chef Leach, for the great recipe as always. And thank you to the folks at home for joining us on Crawford County Outdoors. And we'll talk to you next time. And I'm finishing my
Me too.
my shake
Me
and bake
too.
squirrel here.